Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rayna Milfort, and I am the Director of Housing, Advocacy, and Community Engagement at Miami Homes for All. But more than that, I am a proud Black woman, an immigrant from Haiti, who has spent her life navigating the realities of survival and resilience personally and professionally. I understand housing disparities, not just from policy reports, but because I've lived at the intersection of them. I am a Black woman, an immigrant, an advocate, and a daughter who, despite working in this field, still faces challenges finding affordable housing in Miami. I currently have the privilege of living at home with my family, but I know firsthand the anxiety of wondering where I would go if that privilege was taken away. I was born in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, where inequality wasn't a statistic, it was a life. I saw people go without power for days, children walk miles to school, and families stretch what little they had just to survive. But through all of that, one thing stood out. Black women held everything together. They showed up, spoke out, and ensured communities didn't fall apart, even when they were barely holding on. From a young age, I saw that Black women are the ones who move the world, and they've always had to move it uphill. That truth has shaped how I show up in this work. When we talk about justice, dignity, and equity, we're not just talking about policy. We're talking about the women who've been carrying our communities all along. And my commitment is to ensure that they're no longer left to carry it alone. I want to talk about affordable housing, but not in the way that we usually do. I want to talk about it through the lens of Black women. Because in Miami and across this country, Black women are not only disproportionately impacted by the housing crisis, but we are also leading our households, building our communities, and fighting for solutions every single day. And yet, we're still being left out of the policies, budgets, and buildings that shape our lives. Let's start with the facts. Miami-Dade is the most cost-burdened metro area in the United States. Over 60% of renters here spend more than a third of their income on housing. But if you zoom in a little bit further, especially in historically Black neighborhoods like Overtown, the numbers get even starker. According to the United Way Miami ALIS report, which stands for Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed, 63% of Black households in Miami-Dade live in poverty or fall under the ALIS thresholds. That means they are working, sometimes more than one job, and still can't afford necessities like housing, childcare, transportation, and healthcare. For Black women, especially single mothers and caregivers, the weight is even heavier. And it doesn't stop at housing. There's a direct correlation between housing insecurity and pregnancy outcomes. Black women facing housing instability are more likely to experience high-risk pregnancies, complications, and worse maternal health outcomes. And when you add the chronic stress and anxiety that comes with unstable housing, mental health disparities deepen. Women who are already holding up families and communities are being crushed by a system that makes survival itself an uphill battle. And yet, in the face of that crisis, Black women are still holding it all together. We are the ones organizing tenant associations, running food pantries, and advocating for eviction diversion programs. We are the grandmothers who stretch retirement checks to pay for this rising rents. We are the daughters who show up at zoning hearings with babies on their hips and courage in their voices. These are real people. Jamie, the teacher working 2 jobs just to afford a 1-bedroom apartment while shaping our children's future. Trina, the nonprofit worker who spends her days helping others but still can't afford her own rent. Michelle, the first responder saving lives who can't find housing near her station. Dolores, the barista waking up at 4 a.m. to make sure we all get our coffee while wondering if she's going to make rent this month. Marie-Claude, the little grandma in Little Haiti who has lived in her neighborhood for decades but now sees investors knocking at her door. Gilda, the community garden owner trying to feed her neighbors with fresh, affordable food while living one rent increase away from losing her home. Annie, the tenant council president, who fights every day for her entire building's right to stay housed, while she herself is struggling to make her own ends meet. During one of our housing and food distributions at the Miami Edison Marketplace, I met a woman who came up to pick up groceries. She had no car. She walked in the heat and was about to take the bus. As she held tightly to her bags, I gently asked her in Creole, "Ou besoin aide? Do you need help?" As I helped her walk to the bus stop, I wondered, what would be the rest of her commute look like? Who would be there to help her when she reached her destination? And more importantly, where would she be laying her head that night? This woman was carrying so much alone in the heat. Still, she thanked us. Still, she said, "Mat fais sam capable. I'll do what I can." And still, the question remains, who are we building for? When luxury high-rises go up in neighborhoods like Overtown, where families have lived for generations, but no one from the community can afford to live in the new units, who is benefiting? When affordable housing is defined at 120% of the area median income, which in Miami-Dade, the 2025 area median income is $123,000 a year for a family of 4, but the actual average income in communities like Liberty City and Overtown is closer to $30,000. Who are we really serving? If we want real equity, we must start centering the most impacted people. So I want to challenge us. I want to challenge the very definition of progress. Progress isn't just building more, it's building smarter, fairer. It's not just about height or density. It's about who gets to stay, who gets to thrive, and who we refuse to leave behind. What would designing a housing policy with Black women at the center look like? It would mean deeper affordability, not just at homes at 120% of the area median income, but homes for people at 50%, 30%, and below. It would mean tenant protections, community land trusts, preservation of naturally occurring affordable housing, wraparound services, home ownership access for first-generation buyers, affordable childcare, and more affordable grocery stores than predatory lending offices. That means policies that reflect lived experience, housing that meets actual needs, and budgets that prioritize preservation, not just production. But above all, it means honoring the leadership of Black women, not as a feel-good nature, but as a necessary strategy. If we build for Black women, single mothers in Overtown, immigrant mothers in Little Haiti, and service workers commuting 2 hours each way, we build for everyone. I'm not just speaking to you today as a housing advocate. I'm speaking to you as someone who has seen the disparities firsthand, as a Black woman who has navigated the system, as a daughter who knows what it means to stretch, and as a leader who believes that we don't have to accept broken systems as permanent ones. We can build differently. But this vision doesn't happen on its own. It happens because people like you act. So here's my challenge to you, and I want you to remember these 3 things. 1, show up. Show up where decisions are made. Go to your city or county commission meetings. Watch the agendas and ask questions about how housing dollars are being spent and who they are truly serving. Your presence and your voice matters. 2, support leaders on the ground, tenant councils, neighborhood associations, nonprofits who are already fighting for their homes and communities. Give your time, your skills, and your resources to amplify their work. Stand alongside them. 3, tell a new story. Push back on the idea that displacement is inevitable. Use your platforms, work, church, social media. Lift up the teacher working 2 jobs, the barista, the grandmother in Little Haiti. Let the world know they belong here, and their fight to stay housed is a fight for all of us. And let me say this, Too often and for too long, it has been Black women doing this work, holding our communities together, often at a great personal cost. It is time for all of us to step up, to carry some of that weight, and to uplift and support them in return. Because when Black women thrive, our entire community thrives. We can build a Miami where housing is not a privilege, but a right, where progress is measured by how well we take care of people who've always been the backbone of our communities, where we stop asking, can they afford to be here, and start asking, how can we make sure they belong here? Because real equity doesn't come from one person or one policy. It comes from all of us, choosing every day to build differently, to build smarter, and to build together. Because that is what real equity looks like. Thank you.